Well, happy Monday. What a great weekend we just had at the middle school fall retreat. We had about 10 adult leaders go with us. So thank you. We had 11 high school students who came out to serve as one of the E's we're going to talk about this week, which is in trust. And they did. They stepped into our serve team and they served at a middle school retreat. It was so fun to watch that. Prayers of 3 to 4 years. Watching that come to as our first middle school only retreat and watching them come out and be a part of that. And then we had 28 middle school students. We had a few get sick, and so that pushed our number down just a tad, but still a great showing for our first ever just middle school. You know, we're averaging somewhere around the 40 to 45 mark for middle schoolers on Wednesday night, probably more around the 40. And so over half. It's almost, 75% is really what you want to shoot for with your events. And so that's great. What a great weekend it was. And so this week we will finish off the 4 E's. And so we hit embrace and embody. We will camp on entrust and engage. And so entrust, we'll be camping on that 2 Thess 2:8 passage where it talks about Paul going, I don't only want to share the gospel with you, but I want to share my life. And so discipleship is, for us right now as students, primarily we push this understanding of serving. And though as a church we put serving and embody for a student ministry, we're just trying to get them to understand what it looks like just to be around students at a different season of life, a different phase within their life. And invest in them, pour into them, be available for them. Listen to them tell a crazy joke, answer, try to, or point them to when they ask a question about their relationship with Christ or the gospel, that you would be there and you would model things for them, even at retreats or on Wednesday night, and then for middle schoolers to do that with legacy kids. And we see that within our church, and it's happening. It's a really, really, really neat thing. And so that will be the entrust piece. And so your questions will be geared around that. How are you giving back? We'll push it a little bit differently with middle school. I think I'll probably have a different question for each grade or each grade group, middle school and then high school for entrust for sure. But middle school, we'll be looking at legacy kids, and even some are starting to show up a little bit early on Wednesday nights to help with, like Leo Frost has been helping with the slides and chants. And then high school will push it even harder. We'll talk a little bit about this word mobilization, and that we are the church, and reminding them of that. They are the church, and they should be giving back in and not just taking. That we want you to understand what it looks like to be the church now, so that when you go off to college, it's not a foreign concept. You're not just waiting for someone to hold your hand, but you understand what it looks like to be the church. And we saw that this weekend, and it was a really cool thing. I'm thinking about possibly having a high school student talk about that this Wednesday, that came and served and was a part, and what they saw and what they felt and what they realized. And I might even just have the whole lot of them up there, and just have them each answer the same question with a sentence and have them prepare that sentence. So I don't know how I'm going to do that yet, but definitely thinking through those lenses of how, coming off of something, how can we get a fresh perspective on this idea of serving, giving back, being mobilized. The last E we'll talk about is engage, and we'll spend a little bit of time on this. Towards the end of the semester, I think we're going to take a little bit of time just as we start promoting Atlanta to go there again. But the idea here is Jeremiah 29:7, that though this is not our permanent home, that he has placed us here. Even though this is exile, that we're to seek the welfare of this city. And so we'll mention Project Shine, what we did last week, and why we do that on a bi-monthly basis. But we're also for high school, so we'll talk about that quite a bit for middle school. And I've toyed around with the idea of starting the one campaign for middle school too. I don't know if I'm going to do that or not, but essentially we will talk about that with high school. But essentially the one campaign is, God has put you in a place, and he has put you in a circle of influence. And in other words, there are certain people around you every day, whether it be on your basketball team, the band that you're a part of, drama team, in specific classes, that you have influence in those lives. And the question is are you pursuing? And so we want to simplify and go, well, just start with one person. Who's one person that you know is not a believer, or one person who claims they're a believer but isn't showing evidence of a believer or isn't living out their faith, that you could pursue. And for some, it's inviting them to church. That's happened. We've had several high schoolers just come to church, and then through that, something really cool happens, and they're still coming. For some, it's just having conversations and seeing where they go. And some have worked and some haven't, and some have been encouraging and some have been discouraging. But that's the point, is we're pursuing. We don't know what God's going to do in their hearts, but we're pursuing. And so, once again, just as I mentioned with Embody, we don't get to choose who we do community with. We also don't get to choose who we love and pursue, because all people are equal. There's not those people or that person. There's people. And God loves each the same, no matter what kind of lifestyle they find themselves in. And so really pushing that home with students, and it will really be a good transition probably in 2 weeks as we start signups for Atlanta, which is going to be really neat. So that's where we're heading this week. I'm excited about this week because there's some really tangible action steps to take. Like Embrace and Embody is things that we do every week, and they really don't get a choice, right? I mean, if you show up on a Wednesday night, you have to show up. But if you show up on a Wednesday night, you're going to see the Embrace piece happen. You're going to be a part of the Embody piece, even if you don't want to. When you get to entrust and engage, these are kind of next steps. I'm going to give more than I'm going to give. I'm going to give more than simply just showing up and doing what I know is going to happen because I show up to the programming of Legacy students. So I'm excited about that. The last thing I would tell you is this: I love each of you dearly, and I'm so thrilled to get to do what I do. I'm exhausted today. I've got some sinus stuff, a headache, and coming off a retreat, and yet I'm here and I'm making this video, and I love it because I am watching God do some amazing things through this student ministry within Legacy Bible Church. So, and you're a part of that. You are a significant part of that. So I love each of you dearly, and I thank you, and I will see you Wednesday, or you'll hear from me in text to be praying for certain things. See you guys.